Alright, so in this video we're going to be looking at the sine rule. This is our next trig formula that we can use within a triangle. Now looking at this formula here, two things. One, good news, this is another one you don't have to memorize. You're given it in the formula sheet, so you don't have to worry about memorizing it. The second thing, looking at the structure of that, I've got a over sine A equals b over sine B equals c over sine C. Now firstly, you can see we've kind of got pairs of our letters in each little fraction. But the next thing to realise is that that kind of looks very similar to a formula we've used before. And it looks very similar to our arcs and sectors formula, where we have the x over 360 equals the area over pi r squared equals the arc length over pi d. And the great thing is, the method we use for rearranging those arcs and sectors questions, we can apply for this formula here as well. So let's jump straight into a question and see what I mean. So first one I've got, find the size of length BC. So length BC is this length here from B to C. So I want to find out that side. So opposite my capital A, that means that's my lowercase a. So that's what I want to find out. So writing out my formula. And I'm going to tick all the information I do know, / want to know. So my lowercase a, that's what I want to find out. That's my BC, so I'm going to tick it. My capital A, I know because that's where this 60 here is, so I know my capital A. Lowercase b, oh, I don't know that. It's this side here, because remember it's opposite. That's my lowercase b. My capital B, I don't know the angle there either. My lowercase c, opposite my capital C, yes, I do know that. That's that 15. And my capital C, the 35, I know. So that middle fraction, got no information for, so I cross it out. I can't use it. And you must have both the top and the bottom ticked in order for you to use that fraction. You can't do it with just one. So then, substituting the information I do know. And I begin my rearranging. So, A is the thing I want. So I write A equals. I multiply across that diagonal. And one thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to write this as sine bracket 60 close bracket. Main reason I'm doing that is when you put in the calculator, you must remember to close that bracket. Otherwise, your calculators get a little bit funny and they don't quite like it. And on the bottom will be sine 35. And again, I'm just closing that bracket. So putting that whole thing into my calculator, and that comes out as 22.6480 and so forth. However, rounding it to 2 decimal places would be 22.65, and that'll be centimeters. And one thing which you can do here, which just ties it really nicely to the initial question, find the size of the length BC, have it written as BC equals 22.65 centimeters. Okay, let's take a look at the next question then. So, next one, I've got find the size of the length ZY. So ZY is going to be this length here from Z to Y. And so writing out my formula, and I'm going to use a similar trick as before. I'm just going to swap the letters for the ones I want. So that there, that can be A, this can be B, and that can be C. So then, taking a look at this, my opposite angles, so opposite the angle is going to be the lowercase versions. So ticking what I know, that lowercase a, I know that's the 3, and that 52 degrees is my capital A. Lowercase b, I don't have any information for, and I don't want it, so I'm not going to tick it. My uppercase b, I don't have the angle there, so I can't tick it. Lowercase c, remember that is what I want to find out, that distance from z to y. So I'm going to tick it. And my uppercase c, I have that angle, so I'm going to give that a tick. So then substituting all the information I know and getting rid of that middle fraction there. A is 3 over sine 52 equals, that's c I don't know, over sine 75. So doing my rearranging, c is the thing I want. Multiply across that diagonal. And then divide by the last thing on the bottom there. And so putting all of that into your calculator comes out as 3.6773 and so forth. And I'm just going to round it to 2 decimal places, so 3.68 meters, and I'm going to write ZY equals that 3.68 meters. Okay, one last question. This one's a little bit weirder, but the ideas are very similar. So here I've got a ship travels from A to B on a bearing of 0.45 degrees. Then from B to C on a bearing of 140 degrees. The ship is then 13.6 kilometers east of A. Find the distance AB. So the first thing we need to do is put in some of this information. So we already have this distance here drawn in, the 13.6 kilometers, but I need to figure out these bearings here and draw these on. So from A to B is at 45 degrees. And remember, bearings work from the northern line in a clockwise direction. So this angle here, that is my 45 degrees. And then from B to C is on 140 degrees. So those are the two other bits of information that have been given, but I had to just draw them on the diagram myself, and that can often occur. So we need to try and figure out what this length from A to B is. And in order to do so, remember with my sine formula, I need to figure out what some of the angles are inside the triangle. And so far I don't have any angles inside the triangle. So I now need to use some of my knowledge of the various sort of angles with a triangle and corresponding angles, F angles, Z angles, all of those to try and figure out what could be inside. So to start off with, this key bit of information here, we are told when it gets to C, it is east of A. So that means here, this angle here is a 90-degree angle. And so because that's 90 degrees, that means that angle in there will be 90 degrees, take away that 45. So that's also going to be 45 degrees in there. So that's my first angle found. Then I need to try and figure out and focus on this bit here because I don't have any information down here, so I can't do anything just yet. So a really good tactic is to essentially extend that northern line down a bit so we have a straight line that goes into the triangle. And so what I can see here, I've got an angle on a straight line. And remember, angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So that means this angle in here is going to be 180, take away that 140. So that's going to be 40 degrees. I won't write it as a free figure because I can't really fit it in without getting messy. My last angle I need to figure out is this one here, and then I've got that whole angle B. And the key thing to try and look out for are these Z angles. So we've got here a Z angle because these lines will be parallel. And remember, Z angles means alternate angles. So because that there is 45, that means this bit in here is also 45. So that whole angle, the whole thing in there, will be the 45, add the 40, which is going to be 85 degrees. So I've got that whole angle. So at this point here, I would start ticking all the information that I do know. Firstly, I'm going to label my lower letters. So that's my lowercase b, lowercase a, and lowercase c. And again, what we're wanting to find out is the distance from A to B. So going through and ticking, I don't know my lowercase a, but I do know my uppercase, my angle. I do know my lowercase b, and I do know my capital B for the angle. I want to find out what C is, so I'm going to give that a tick, but I still don't actually know what my angle is at C. But it's a really easy fix. I just need to figure out what this angle here is. And remember, all the angles in a triangle need to add up to 180. So I just add up the two angles I have. And that's 130. And then I just take that away from 180. So that's going to be 50 degrees in there. And so I now know what angle C is. So I'm not using A. So substituting all the elements I do know. So I've got 13.6 over sine 85 equals C over sine 50. C is the thing I want. So I write C equals, multiply across that diagonal. And then divide by the last thing on the bottom, that's sine 85. And so then putting that all into a calculator, and that comes out as 10.458 and so forth. So rounding it to two decimal places would be 10.46 kilometers. And again, I'm just going to change it to AB equals because that was the original question. So let me know if you have any questions about this, and good luck with the work.